Hi everyone, I'm Emily.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome back to our podcast, What They Don't Tell You.
But we will.
Yes, and today we are so excited to have someone on that I'm a bit of a fan of, and we've long wanted to do an episode on allergies. Today we're joined by Zak Marks, who is the co-founder of Kitt Medical, who creates kits for anaphylaxis and severe allergic reactions. And we have so many questions for him. So welcome, Zak.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I've followed you for so long, and we really wanted to spotlight allergies. Our eldest has a severe nut allergy, and that was kind of the first experience we ever had with allergies. But for anyone who doesn't know...
Yeah. Do you want to tell us what Kitt Medical is, what inspired it, where's it come from?
Yeah, of course. So I developed my first reaction at like 5 years old to essentially traces of peanut butter on a slice of toast. I was offered peanut butter by my best friend's mum. Yeah. And I said no because I like instinctively hated the smell for some reason, which is my body maybe doing something to protect me. But I just had butter on toast. He had peanut butter. The same knife was used between those slices. And that little bit of cross-contamination caused me to get like a, thankfully not severe reaction, which is anaphylaxis, but a upset stomach and some swelling, some rashes. And I remember really weirdly, this memory only came to me like last year, actually, because I've been telling this story a lot. Yeah. But I remember after that reaction, we went out for dinner and I was hiding in the toilet in this restaurant at 5 years old, embarrassed about the way I looked, the way I felt, how bad I felt. And even a reaction at that age causing that embarrassment, and then obviously showed my mum, and we sort of like went to hospital, got the checks, and I essentially had a skin prick test, which I'm sure you guys have been through. But for anyone that doesn't know, you basically get the essence of allergens, the top 14 and anything else pricked into your arm. They find out what you're, rashing to. And I found out I was allergic to peanuts very badly. Most other tree nuts of varying scales, sort of almonds up here, hazelnuts down here, really hard to keep track of which is which. And then legumes, so peas, chickpeas, lentils. I was actually allergic to sesame, but I grew out of that. And kind of intolerant to wheat. That was a bit unclear, but I've sort of grown out of that. So it's always like a weird spectrum. It's never like this exact allergy. But I was basically handed 2 adrenaline pens, which, the brand's EpiPen or Jex, whatever it is you get, they do the same thing. And told, inject this if you ever have a severe reaction and avoid these foods because they might kill you. And basically sent on my way with my mum having that knowledge and me just a little kid, tottering around, not knowing what to do. That burden was on my parents for the longest time and my sisters, my 2 older sisters, until I think secondary school and university, where suddenly it was my issue and I had to raise it, otherwise there were consequences, and I had to carry my pens, otherwise I forgot them. And as we were just sort of discussing earlier, like a teenage boy, I don't want to carry my pens, I don't want to talk about it.
It's not cool.
So at university as a product designer, I was thinking, can I redesign the adrenaline pen, or can I do something around this that makes sure it's there and it's cooler and people know what it is. And that's where this idea of something like a defibrillator, on the wall emergency treatment, but for allergies came into play. And that's really where the kit came from and what it is now.
Amazing.
I'm so grateful that you have started that. Obviously, we have a son who has a severe allergic reaction, but yes, he's 14 now. And every single time he walks out the door, it's like, don't forget your pens, like, keys, wallet, whatever, phone, but you need your pens, but they're quite bulky, aren't they?
Yeah.
And he's normally wearing just like a tracksuit. He doesn't want to put them into his pocket, it's not cool.
We tried the man bag thing, and he was having none of that.
We got him a man bag. He's like,
I was kind of proud
I've been through all of them. I used to have a Nike drawstring bag with bright yellow drawstrings. If you see any photos of me as a teenager, that's on my back. Always on my back.
Got it. But at least you're carrying it. Like sometimes he'll go off to a party and I'm like, no. We have this, remember to take it. And he's like, I just won't eat. That's what he says to me. I just won't eat. And I think, but you will, because again, you're a teenage boy. Like you're gonna look at the buffet and you're gonna eat, and it's this constant battle of me not wanting to like make a big thing of it, but also being like, this is a really big thing.
It's a non-negotiable as well.
It's so hard, isn't it? Like,
funny, he doesn't forget his phone.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, they need to make a phone case.
But there's so many layers to why people don't carry adrenaline pens, and they expire, so they're forgotten, or they're out of date. They're bulky, like you said. So where do you put them? How do you carry them? Who are you showing? There's the stigma around. It's just a bit embarrassing, unfortunately, because you don't. I mean, especially when you're a kid or a teenager, you don't want to stand out in any way. And these 2 big pens, they make you stand out. Exactly. And then you've probably never used them. And I think that's the biggest thing. So when you're a teenage boy, you're a kid, you're a girl, even you're an adult, and you've been prescribed these 10, 20 years ago and you've never used them, you just think, well, I'll never need them.
Yeah.
And then the day that you do, you don't have them.
Yeah, that's it. I think he's like, I'll probably be all right because I've always been all right. And, in a restaurant, we always say, they're actually getting a lot better. Any allergies on the table? Yes, there's an allergy, peanut allergy. But now they bring his food over with this little like allergy flag. I don't know if you've ever had that.
Yeah.
And like that immediately calls him out. And I don't know, he hates the little allergy flag, and it's like this embarrassing thing, isn't it?
It's hard, isn't it? Because you kind of see where a restaurant's coming from. It's got to stand out to them as well.
Yeah,
so
they got to make it fresh and like, but there's so much.
It's interesting well, personally, as I grow up, and I think generally as you grow up, because I love the allergy flag now.
Yeah.
I love knowing that they have
hopefully
taken the presence in the kitchen of putting it to the side, perfectly labeling it.
Like pan.
Yeah.
All
It's
of
great.
It. Yeah.
It makes me feel like by the time it's got on the table, it's safe.
Yeah.
And obviously, as a kid, you're less concerned about that than you are than just being cool and fitting in. So
I'm so glad. Like I'm hoping he'll like turn the corner with that.
It's not that bad, is it? It's just like it's like an ick for him, but it's just like,
it's just
get
like
over it.
like you say, it's just like that's something different. And there is this weird I feel like not everyone understands allergies, and there's still this, like Matt's dad, for instance. So it's just generational thing, because allergies have doubled and tripled, haven't they? But even in the past, if it's not his fault, it's just like it wasn't really a thing in the 60s and 70s, and now it's like, so we might say no peanuts, and he's like, oh, it can't be that bad. It's that kind
But it's almost like it's what's wrong with our generation, isn't it? Oh, yeah, all these allergies. You didn't have these allergies. It's like, you probably did, but it's awareness, isn't it, as well?
Well, what we've seen is that people are developing allergies at all times in their lives. So, with Kitt, we've had lives saved of 40, 50, 60-year-olds developing their first reaction. And that totally takes them by surprise. Whereas I think the common rhetoric is kids are developing allergies and they're growing into them. They've got it forever. It's a generational thing, but it's not. It can be anyone really at any time. And we've got like a huge rise in allergies. And I think there's been something like a 300% increase in prescriptions for adrenaline pens in the UK in the last 20 years. But then you see only about 45-50% of people actually carry those pens. So, and we know there's been increases in hospitalizations. There's also been increases in allergy testing, and as a result, people go to hospital more. So the data's a bit skewed. But you ask anyone, and the common theme is they feel like there's more allergies, and that's because there are.
Yeah.
What would you say your first experience of a bad reaction was? Because you've not had one. Have you?
I've thankfully never had to use a pen.
No.
Touch wood. In 27, nearly 28 years. Hopefully I never do.
Yeah.
But I think there's been like 3 times where I've had like a bad reaction. I guess that first peanut one was kind of bad, but not that bad. One that was really scary was, I think I was 10, 11, 12 years old maybe. And I was having breakfast at the kitchen table before school, like normal. My mum was in the kitchen with me, and I had chocolate Weetabix like every morning. And my mum put it out for me. Because I literally was the worst morning person, I still am. And it's like last minute before school, just get the breakfast in. And I was eating this Weetabix, and I felt this really weird thing in my mouth. And I was like, I've had this feeling before. It's like your salivary glands go and you start feeling a bit itchy and swelling, and it's like a hoarseness in the back of your throat. And I looked at the box more clearly, and it looked like the chocolate Weetabix I had every day, but it was actually the chocolate nut that had just been rebranded and looked exactly the same. Like the differences, my mum picked out in the supermarket every week, looked the same. And I said to my mum, like, I think something's wrong. And she started to panic because obviously she felt horrendous that it was on her. We drove straight to the hospital. I basically sat with a nurse because I don't know how much I had. I think it was maybe a quarter of a bowl before I realised. And basically it was just made to be sick, get it all out, take antihistamines. I was watched for like a couple hours just, to get my brain in check, just to calm down. And then thankfully went home, and I think my mum wrote a really strongly worded letter to Weetabix to be like, this is really bad.
I know what we'll do. We'll bring out a new flavour and chuck some nuts in there and make the packaging really similar.
It's horrendous. And we've had, with Kitt, we've had incidences where people eat a food they've eaten before and they haven't checked the ingredients. Or we had one in particular where a young girl ate an ice cream bar and the allergy ingredients were behind the sort of wrapper flap. So she just didn't see that it said it contains nuts, and that caused a reaction. So all these things where I think people think if you don't have an allergy, they think people with allergies, it's totally their burden, their problem. They should take the risk. They should read the ingredients. They should carry the pens.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, so many things happen out of their control that cause reactions.
Yeah.
There needs to be other help and support there, really.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Like I read stories about, there was this one boy and he ordered this pizza that he ordered all the time, and it was like,
Was this James?
It was normally
at
like
uni?
with almond flour, and then that one week they did it with like peanut or something, another nut flour or whatever, and he ate the pizza like he normally would, and then he had this huge reaction.
I know the story of a boy that ordered a pizza at uni that was a chicken tikka masala pizza, and he checked the menu and it was safe for him to eat with a peanut allergy, and that caused him to have a reaction so severe he passed away. He didn't have an adrenaline pen, but the court case found that if he'd have called the restaurant, they wouldn't have served him. Because on the phone they would have said, no, it has these ingredients, whereas the menu wasn't up to date and accurate. Again, it's these disconnects of people just not going the extra mile to be 100% sure.
Yes. But then something we are also finding now is sometimes when we go into a shop and we say, oh, my son has a peanut allergy, then some places actually don't want to serve us.
Yeah.
And we've had that. And then I feel a bit like, okay, well, we went into an ice cream shop and they were just like, oh, well, oh, sorry, like we can't serve you kind of thing. And it was like, we're on this family holiday. And well, actually, then I felt like, oh, he's being like discriminated against. And it's like, no, can you just tell us what ingredients are in every single thing? And it was like, they didn't want to. And I know there's laws happening here that are trying to, change that. Yeah. But that is also a really frustrating thing when then your kids feeling
supermarket,
so
they just
singled out.
They label every product that has nuts in, don't they? Even if it doesn't. Is it M&S?
Yeah.
Just to cover their backs, and it's.
I think that's because everything in M&S is own brand, so they just go the extra mile to be like we really. But I'm we're quite well linked in with the major allergy charities now, and I think specifically Allergy UK doing a lot of work on this. PALS, PAL, precautionary allergy labeling, and the distance, the gap of may contain, right, has gone from it's probably in a factory that probably touches a conveyor belt where there's probably allergens to now like everyone is so scared that we're going to label anything within an 100-mile radius as a may contain. And so the precautionary allergy labeling has become totally overly precautionary. And so we need different levels of may contain now, really, is what they're trying to do with the major brands so that people with different severities of allergies feel like they can pick this but not this. Because it currently feels like you're being robbed of that choice, I think, when everything is covered in these precautionary labels.
It's frustrating. Sometimes you walk in somewhere and you're like, oh, you can't eat anything, because like we don't want to take the risk, but then equally it probably would be okay, like this is a pack of ham, there are no nuts in it, or so it's like it's such a tricky thing. And I'm glad that you said that. What's one thing you wish people would understand about allergies? Or I don't know, it's so tricky, isn't it?
I always talk about the intangibles. So with Kitt, we know that it's adrenaline pens, be used in emergency, comes with training, it's on the wall. It's rare that it will be used. At this point, we now have 1,500 kits across the UK. And like I said, they've been used 20 times. In a fraction, that's quite low. In the impact, that's obviously very high. But the fact is, when you live with an allergy, it's so rare that you'll have one of these reactions that's not what most people worry about. The daily burden of mentioning that you've got an allergy, the daily burden of selecting the right food, the daily burden of carrying your adrenaline pens, if you're the allergy person, you're normally the person that if you pipe up, you choose where to eat with your friends, or you just get dragged along and can't eat. And I don't think, like, if you don't have an allergy, you're just not cognizant of that. You have no idea that it's, there are two things I sort of live by, like every label, every time. Read every single label every single time, even if it's food. If it's a pack of Cadbury's chocolate buttons I've eaten a million times, I'm still going to check it because it might change. It's that daily mental switch, and pretty much never eating something that doesn't have ingredients. Whether it's a sandwich, whether it's canapes at an event, whether it's whatever, I just don't eat it. I will have to ask like 3 people, and normally it's just like, this is just not worth it. And again, people just aren't aware of that. They don't think about that. They think, oh, you got an allergy, you know what you can do, it's a sandwich, you'll be fine, you're allergic to nuts. But it's not that simple.
It's so true. And like even as a person with no allergies, I think it's actually, I didn't understand, like, until I had a son with allergies. You know, it's every single meal, it's, you know, every birthday party I'd like put Haribo in my bag because like I knew you couldn't have the cake because, you know, because it might be homemade or they won't have the box still. Like it's just constant. You're like always thinking about it. And I think unless you have that in your life, it's actually hard for some people to understand. They're like, oh, I'm probably fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's just not worth it.
I think there's an important mental reframe for anyone that does live with allergies and finds it really difficult, though, because for me personally, I look at it that I'm in control. I'm allowed to make these decisions, and not that I'm at the whim of my allergies and whatever anyone serves me is what they serve me. But you know, it comes with a mental confidence game of being able to ask the question constantly and knowing that you're able to take the time to read the ingredients. If you're with a big group and everyone's like, oh, just eat this, I'm like, no, you need to stop because I need to take the minute to read.
Yeah.
And when you start wearing that as sort of like a badge of truth, or like, I'm always going to do this, I know I'm going to do this, I respect myself enough to do this, it personally, I feel like it becomes quite rewarding and quite a confidence builder that I always know I'm in control of that part of like what's going on in my fate, my destiny, my food life. Rather than, I think so many little kids will just feel like this is a really heavy burden, I don't want to touch it.
Do you drink alcohol?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's my worry, is like when like it gets to the age of like going out drinking, and it's like habits change, you know what I mean? And you might try a curry that you haven't had, or you go somewhere and have a slice of pizza.
I mean, I have red zones on my map in terms of allergens, and Asian food is a red zone. I just, especially if I'm you know, drunk or just, I guess, even like tired, I just won't touch it. Like if I'm on a long drive and we're at a service station, the only thing to eat is that, I just won't eat it. And what I always do, I always have like a biscuit chocolate type bar with me. I always have like a beef style nutrition protein type bar with me. Always have like a honey sachet. Like I have various things I always carry with me that I know can like intervene at certain stages of if I can't eat, I've got this backup.
You've got that,
So good,
Because we went to Bali last year, and that was our worry. It was obviously peanut oil was pretty frequent. In Asia, especially.
Well, that's it. Yeah, because it's like chips as well. Like, you know, like they could maybe, a lot of other places use like peanut
cheap,
oil.
Right? It's one of the cheapest oils for them to use.
Yeah.
Five
and
Guys.
something we're struggling with now, actually, that he is older and he's starting to like have spicy food and stuff. The feeling of spicy feels the same as his allergy. So we've had moments now where he's having a curry and he goes, oh, and he's like, what's in this? And then we're like, oh, and then we double check everything and we're freaking out. And then actually it's just the chili. It's just the spice of it.
I had that yesterday at lunch.
Do you have that? Yeah.
So often.
Yeah.
So
and do you get scared?
Yeah. I do. But again, it's like rote memory and self-confidence of saying, this is just spice, you'll be fine. Because I think it's really hard. I live with anxiety. I have quite, different spikes of where it's quite bad and quite not. And it's a very strong anxiety trigger, like the placebo of thinking you're having an allergic reaction, or the worry that every day you're going to have a reaction. That is a burden on mental health. And I think that when you sort of can self-identify, I've done all the checks, I've asked about the ingredients, 3 times now, I've got my pens, that's the backup, and this is probably just a spice. When you go through those moments, it's fine. But if you start eating something, you're like, shit, I haven't checked what's in this, and crap, I don't have my pens, and then the spice kicks in, it's so much worse. So it's doing everything you can beforehand.
It's that when you go out, isn't it, like you drive somewhere and then you're like, we haven't got his pens, and like you offer someone's like, oh, do we turn around?
That's the worst.
In the summer, like, sometimes I leave them in the car. I'm like, I've got them in the car, but in the summer when it's really hot, and then that's not good for the pens. That's when I get stressed out as well. I'm like, oh, they're overheating, they're not going to work. Like,
when we go on holiday, though, it's more important than the passports. We're literally just like, look, we can miss the flight. We just can't travel without the.
I mean, I have an Apple AirTag in my sort of pen bag. So that, and if I leave home or I leave a radius without them, then I get a notification on my phone being like, you've left this item behind.
Brilliant.
Which is a necessity for me, because often the worst thing I do is when I put them in my gym bag and then I leave them in my gym bag and I go to work in the day. I've probably done that 2 or 3 times. I'm like,
then it's
left
like
my
the
pens
stress
at home.
of that.
But it's a difficult one with the temperature, I think, and trying to carry them around with you. we mentioned it before, talking about like, jackets, and when it's in winter, it's easier to carry them.
Yes.
I think in summer and when it's hotter, I just have like a sling bag or something to put them in. And if you need to, you get an ice pack in there or something. Generally, they're temperature stable in those sorts of conditions. It's when they're, you don't want to leave it out in the baking sun under a magnifying glass or in a sub-zero freezer, but it should be all right.
Yeah. And this is in, did you say how many thousands of schools?
Schools and qualifying businesses.
Yeah.
So that ranges from, I always use a comparison like the Royal Albert Hall to the primary school down the road. Like literally 1,000 different venues now have Kitts. And literally the uppermost tip of Scotland all the way down to the lowest tip of Cornwall. We have them distributed across the UK. We launched almost 3 years ago now, so it's been a long journey. We first just started in schools, and we started seeing a really good uptick, and then a year later we launched in our first business, which was Alton Towers Resort. We now have them across a lot of Merlin sites, so Legoland, Chessington. Essentially any business that has an occupational health scheme can purchase these, and trained staff can use them in an emergency, which is great. Obviously schools can then use them on staff, students, visitors, whatever they need. And we've had this battle of trying to persuade organizations and schools that say, we're not aware of anyone with allergies on, in the school, for example. And I'll say, okay, but we have 7 life-saving stories with Kitts where people have developed a spontaneous reaction for the first time. What about?
It's more important they haven't, because those kids that have got them have probably got their pens with them at school as opposed to the first time.
Whereas staff, have you thought about your staff members? We've saved the lives of 5 staff members. We had a bee sting anaphylaxis last week. You're not going to know about that before it happens.
No.
And it's the push to say this isn't something you need just if you have a diagnosed condition, but it's trying to make it like a proactive standard. That's really where we want to be, so that it's in sort of every workplace, every school, and people can just rely on the fact that it's there if they need it.
So that'd be the dream, wouldn't it, for sufferers to actually have an app themselves, I guess.
The goal,
And be like,
I mean, the legislation, the regulations, it's all really prohibitive around like, these aren't public access products. They're bought for that workplace, for that school, and we can't just say this is down the road. But there is a dream in the future that with campaigning and whatnot, that these are just like every defibrillators next door neighbor. Yeah,
because that's what I saw you say. This should be next to every defibrillator, and I loved that. I was like, yes, because allergies, they're on the up every year. It's going up and up and up. There's more and more allergies, so it makes sense that this would also be available there.
Absolutely.
And can we talk about planes? Because it gets to me so much, the plane thing, because our son has this allergy, but it's not so severe that like people on the plane couldn't eat. So we never say, you sometimes hear that.
Yeah, I don't do that either.
No, but we don't need to do that, so we never do that. But every plane we get on, we hear it. So someone else,
but you sort of think
it's pretty often though.
Yeah.
So you hear other people, so we're like, okay, there's other people on here.
Yeah.
So one, why is there not on a plane? And also, can these be on planes? Please.
I mean, I think for one, planes are like a separate legislation to purchase adrenaline pens, so it would be a different way of working with them, and we couldn't just drill a kit into a wall on a plane, so it's a different product. And then we hear about issues where, or not issues, but instances where planes actually have pens. A lot of planes have pens. Okay. They're just in big medical kits where everything else is, and they're not specifically separate. They're not specifically trained on using that. If they use that, they still have to emergency land. They also have to order a whole new medical kit rather than just new pens. It's like a really layered issue of the pens themselves. But when I think of planes and I think of getting kits on there in the future at some point, I'm like, would that solve the issue? And fundamentally, I'm not sure it would yet, because I think the main issue is public perception and training and the food you're eating on a plane, rather than you don't want to you never want to get to the point where you use a pen, but you especially don't want that point on a plane, because you need to emergency land. You've got the increased cabin pressure, altitude, CO2, everything. It's not an ideal scenario.
Be great marketing, wouldn't it, for an airline? We are not free.
Oh, I mean, God, yeah.
No one does it.
God, yeah. And I think it's so disheartening when you see comments on social media, especially on social media, about anything to do with allergies on planes, and people are like, I'm going to eat my nuts anyway, in spite of you.
Great.
Yeah. Horrendous.
Can you just wait the few hours?
But it's because fundamentally they don't believe the allergy is as bad as it is.
Exactly.
They just don't understand. If they understood it, I'm sure they would not be doing that. They don't actually want to hurt someone. They just believe it's like soft culture, Gen Z. You're just scared, get over it. it's not what it is. It's genuinely dangerous. Genuinely, you know, you could be eating a Snickers bar, touch your tray table.
Yes.
The next flight, someone could touch that and have a reaction, or the toilet, or I mean, the airborne particles is like a weird scientific, proven thing where they're not sure if you open a pack of Bamba and the spritz in the air could cause a reaction. Science says no. Anecdotally, people say yes, so it's a tough one. But I know that similar to your son, I've sat next to someone eating a Snickers bar on a plane, and I've had to, you know, my heart's hammering in my ears.
Yes.
Like, I am having to talk myself down, being like, you are okay. You know this isn't going to cause a reaction.
Yeah.
It's
You're
still
not
bloody scary.
Yeah.
Well, it's
It's
so
next to you,
scary because then you're in the sky
Yeah.
and it's out of your hands.
Exactly. It's the environment.
And like you say, it's all these other factors that can actually make an allergic reaction so much worse.
Yeah.
So like for our son, if his immune system, like if he's got a common cold, his reaction is going to be a lot worse than, you know, anything. So when you're in the sky and like there's, like you say, you're tired, you're, you know, off balance, like all these different things, like it could be so much worse.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this was one of the things. So when we created our training course with Kitt, which we give to every school and workplace, we're just about to hit 30,000 completions on that, which is amazing. And, you know, I think a lot of these training courses, they go into like, this is how you use a pen and this is what an allergy is. And it's like, that's great. But what about all the other things? And so what we did in our course was we have Professor Adam Fox and Dr. Helen Evans-Howes, and they talk on certain things. Like Helen goes into cofactors, which is exactly what you're talking about. And that's when I really learned about this, where it's not just X trigger, like, or X thing, let's say a nut, causes X reaction. It's X thing plus cofactor, tiredness, cold and flu, being on your period, being stressed, having exercised recently, being in a low oxygen environment. Like literally all of these things can then trigger an allergic reaction with something else. So with Kitt, we've had an incident where a 15-year-old boy who was diagnosed with severe allergies when he was like 7 years old, never had a reaction. So by the time he's 15, he's not carrying his pens, doesn't really think about it, doesn't worry about it. And then he was at school, he ate a meal. He, 2 hours later, after this meal, that was totally fine, went for a run, 5K run around the school. End of that run, he's thinking, I don't feel great. Something's wrong here. His throat is starting to feel a bit itchy and he's got this hammering in his ears and his face is a bit puffy. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. He sees someone in the corridor and they're like, you don't look good. What's happening? He's experiencing low blood pressure. It's one of the symptoms of anaphylaxis. He starts to feel faint. His parents are both A&E consultants, so the school call them before an ambulance because it's a rural school, so the ambulance would take hours.
Oh, God.
They come and they end up administering, and the school administers one of the kits they have on site, and it's his first ever allergic reaction, anaphylaxis, totally unbeknownst to him because exercise induced from the meal 2 hours before. And it totally took them by surprise. He then had a biphasic reaction in hospital, which is when symptoms can come on after treatment, like hours later. So it's like a secondary reaction. And it was all caused by these cofactors. And people just don't realize it wasn't just he ate something, had a reaction.
Like,
it's
if
everything.
he hadn't gone for the run, he might have just thought, oh, that meal was fine.
Yeah.
Like wherever he had eaten. Yeah.
And it's not now, I think the biggest misconception was that as well, is it's not that exercise causes him anaphylaxis, and it's not that meal causes him anaphylaxis. He's not allergic specifically to those two things. It was that environment and all of the compounding things together, which makes it even harder potentially to live with, because what do you do?
Yeah.
Is that why you
It's
have
amazing.
two? I mean, is there various reasons why people? Because originally you just carried one, right?
Yeah,
And it was the idea of one obviously didn't work. You had the backup,
Yes.
but also the adrenaline only lasts a certain amount of time. So if you are someone you can't get to,
Yeah, I mean, you're always recommended to carry two because you might misfire one. We have instances where people use it the wrong way, fire it into their thumb.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
the nursery, didn't we? The nursery.
Someone
worker.
at the boys' nursery, like it wasn't our son, but
Got
someone
themselves.
had it, and then they got themselves and not the.
Yeah,
the
I
kid,
mean, it's a stressful environment, but you don't want to do that. You've got instances where people need multiple doses. We've had people needing 4 shots of adrenaline with kits. So sometimes it's a reaction so severe you just need to keep injecting them. And then you have when they're expired or when they're forgotten or when they're biphasic. But it's always recommended you have 2. At least.
What's been your biggest challenge getting the kit out there? Getting people on board.
Because we watched you on Dragon's Den, and how amazing! You've got Deborah Meaden and Stephen Bartlett that have like bought into the more well invested in the business.
Yes.
I mean, incredible people to have.
They're so cool.
So cool. I mean, we're a huge fan, aren't we?
Yeah.
Of Stephen's podcast and everything he does. So I mean, and hopefully that will help inject some awareness into
and I think
it as well.
that is the like the hill we've had to climb is this perception piece. It's that this is super important. And when we compare it to like a defibrillator, but for allergies, and when people see it often, they go, oh, that's a no-brainer. As soon as they know about it, it makes total sense. But it is that perception piece of, you know, why should I be spending this money, and how legally can I get it? I think those are the two big challenges that we see. So obviously we're a startup. You know, I graduated out of uni and founded this business, and my co-founder James joined me, and then had a couple friends join, and now at this point we're 8 going on 9 people in an office in central London and building this business. Meanwhile, we're talking to some of the largest companies in the UK, saying like, hi, please can buy a little anaphylaxis kit. It's really important. It can save lives. And I think sometimes they just look at that and they're like, what you're doing isn't important / isn't legal / is too expensive, and they sort of belittle or
What's
put down.
the isn't legal argument? Why?
So adrenaline in the form it's sold in the UK in an adrenaline pen is a prescription only medicine. So if you have an allergy, you get a prescription, you get a pen.
Right.
To get it any other way, you need to be on the exempt list on the human medicines regulations. And the 2 places that are exempt are schools. So a head teacher can sign a medicines order form, get adrenaline pens for their school in an emergency. Even that is contentious, because some people think they're only for use for people that know they have pens but don't have them on them. And that's not true. They can be used in an emergency by anyone, staff, students, visitors. But the other exemption is any organisation with an occupational health scheme can purchase it for their staff to use. You know, so a workplace like Denton's law firm, we have Royal Albert Hall Hospitality. Recently, Compass Group Catering, one of the largest organisations in the UK, purchased 140 kits for 60 major stadiums, the O2 Arena, Tottenham Hotspur, and they can purchase that under the Oc Health scheme. So they need those exemptions. And what we find is that sometimes organizations, because what we're doing is new, no one else is doing this. They say, I don't agree with your interpretation of the regulations, or I don't think adrenaline is safe and we shouldn't have it, and the way you're selling it isn't safe. And we're like, this is just ridiculous. You know, we're doing all the things, we've got all the licenses and the approvals and the case studies and this and that and the other, but you're always going to get naysayers.
And it has saved lives already. That, you know,
bottom line,
it has.
I mean, everything from 3-year-olds to 53-year-olds. And and we keep getting, you know, we had our 20th life saved literally last week. And the reports come through on our system. You know, people report them when they use them because we send new pens, basically at no extra cost if they have a kit. And then we call them and we're like, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? Let us know. And normally, you know, they've just reported it and that person is in hospital, or this 20th one, a staff member actually was stung by a bee. She got the kit from the school, self-administered a pen, submitted the instant report form, and then called us 3 hours later. And it was just like this full circle of like, oh, you did everything yourself. And she was like, yeah, I got a bit of hoarse throat right now, but I was like, can you please just relax? She didn't take us up to hospital because reaction didn't get that severe. She intervened with adrenaline really early.
Thank God. Yeah, it's incredible. And something I almost want to go back to, because you talked about confidence.
Yes.
And like, as a parent, we're just constantly trying to protect them. And, you know, maybe it's just this age, but I feel like it's a lot on us to, you know, be thinking about it and to be protecting them. But how do we build confidence in our children? Like, how have you got to the point where you're like, you know, I'm confident enough to just ask the question a million times and make sure and think, oh, it's not worth it for me. Like, is there anything we can do as parents to encourage that?
It's a hard one. There's no magic, you know, golden thread. No. I don't think there's like one thing that you can say.
Do you think you experiencing your own reactions sort of brought it home that this is quite serious and I need to...
There was definitely a turning point when I started Kitt, because I was not the responsible, confident person before that. You know, and that was you know, graduating university in 2020 with this concept, that the more I dove into, the more I realized, one, how serious it can be if you don't take it seriously, and two, how many people specifically that are teenagers, that are young adults, that fall into this trap of not carrying their pens. And I think when I realized that's the key moment where you need to intervene and start taking it on yourself and carrying the pens. And that really it was just a case of two things. One, getting the right medium to carry the pens, a bag, a jacket, just make sure you have that.
Yeah.
And two, just feeling confident that you can just say something in the restaurant. You know, you start off small. When you order, you just say, by the way, does this have nuts? You know, I don't want to bother you, but just let me know. And you slowly build it up to the point where I can sit with someone for 10 minutes in a restaurant and just be like, can you go through the entire allergen matrix and not feel awkward that that's holding up my friend? Because they also can see that I'm taking that on. I feel confident with it. And what's funny is I've been out with friends, family, like investors, whatever, that like know about Kitt, but don't necessarily eat with me regularly or whatever. And I go through the whole rigmarole of ordering, and then at the end they're like, so it's actually real. So you actually have to do this every day. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a ruse. Like I have to do this every time I eat anything and drink anything. Like it's surprising, but no, I think it's rote memory. It's learned. It's built up slowly but surely. You know, in the early days when I was younger, it was my mum and my two older sisters that used to do it for me and make me feel really bad that I didn't say it. I'd be at a restaurant, I'd order, and then they look at me and be like, I know, you haven't said you got allergies.
And I'm like, do that.
Yeah. And then the moment when it does come naturally to him, you think, oh, it's working.
I know, but I feel like I don't want to be embarrassing, and I know I'm that embarrassing mum.
And you want it to come naturally. You don't want to have
this call about a school trip the other day, and they're like, any questions? And I'm like, oh, my son has an allergy, blah, blah, blah. And apparently that was really embarrassing for him, that I like brought it to light. That I was
but
like,
then we're just like, sorry mate, we're going to embarrass you. If that's embarrassing,
I'm sending you off to like Belgium on your own. And I'm like, I just need them to be aware, because I need, you know what I mean? It's hard. Like, you don't want to be embarrassing, but then you also don't want anything to happen.
I mean, it's hard for the individual to think like, how do we make that better? I think what we try and do is work with the organisation of the school. Something that I love that I'm seeing more and more is when the restaurant asks you before you ask them.
Yeah, I actually think it's getting a lot better.
Yeah. And the school should say, before the school trip or in that call, just so you know, this is what we're doing about allergies, rather than you having to like call out because it's the difference between exclusion and inclusion. It's that simple.
That's it. Then you just feel a bit awkward, don't you? And I'm like sort of walking this like tightrope. I'm like, I don't want to embarrass you, but I don't want you to get in trouble.
But you can generalize it. You can say, instead of just saying your son, say like, what's the allergy policy on this school trip, or have you guys thought about these precautions? You know, you just, instead of isolating him a little bit. And then hopefully that encourages him to feel a bit more like it's just a general thing the school are looking into, rather than his issue.
I'm going to say policy. Definitely.
I think we know the answers to this, but do you think we're getting closer to a world where allergic kids can live without constant fear? And what needs to happen next?
Yes, I think it's very sad that anyone lives in constant fear of their condition regardless, and hopefully we can solve that. We have so many kits in so many visible places that when people see, they take photos, they take videos, they send it to us. We have organizations saying how they have customers walking past and being like, I feel better just knowing that's there. And you never have to use it, it's just so literally the visibility of, it's like you said, literally on the school trip, like it's just the visibility. It's just saying the thing before doing the thing. It's seeing the kit on the wall before knowing you have to use it. Any of these things makes people feel safer. We've also got, immunotherapy, like you said, your son's going through, and breakthroughs in better forms of adrenaline that are, coming out, and ways in which we can just hopefully make it less stressful. But at the end of the day, we know there's an increase in allergy, so we have to do all these things. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse.
Obviously, this is in the UK. Is there anything else elsewhere in the world?
Not really.
That you know of?
No. I mean, there's a couple. I actually was at a conference in where was I? In Italy the other week. I gave a talk on allergy. It was at an allergy conference. Gave a talk on the kits, and then a Hungarian doctor came up to me and said, you are one of the inspiration, or you are the inspiration for what I'm doing, and showed me his little red box. And it was a Hungarian adrenaline pen emergency treatment kit for schools that they were putting in Hungary. And they're not running it on a subscription to guarantee the expiry dates. They're not providing training. It's not as nice and well built out, but it's saving lives. It's being given out through the government for free, and it's an impact, and knowing that we had that cascading effect of influencing them to do that. that's wonderful. So yes, there are like grassroots things going on in other places, but I think Kitt it's the largest initiative, and we have dreams and ambitions to take it into different countries in the next few years. Currently we're just UK based, but hopefully,
yeah. And have you got any exciting like projects coming up?
We did just sign Centre Box, which I know you guys love. Centre Box. I've actually never been, by the way, so
now you've got an excuse.
Hopefully we're all going as a team, doing like a team day out next week. I'm going to see the kits. I mean, honestly, as far as a customer goes, Centre Parks found us on TikTok like a year and a half ago.
Wow.
They were like, we really want these on our sites. Been in the works for a long time, and now they've got 4 or 5 kits in each of their forests across the UK. They installed them within a week. They've done 50 staff per site trained within a week.
Wow.
And sent me the most unbelievable photo of like their ambulance with a kit, with the Centre Box site and everything. And, we're really excited to announce it properly.
Oh, it's so exciting.
But they're a wonderful customer, and again, qualifying business.
We go every year, sometimes multiple times a year, and they are so good with allergies. Like every single one of their restaurants is so on it. I feel like someone up high there must have an allergy, or they understand. That's so exciting.
I mean, they've been wonderful. The COO signed it off, and the head of occupational health has been like, Anna Winton's just been like so excited about it, and really cool business to be working with.
Because even the coffee shop there, always, if you ask for oat milk or something, they're always like, "Is this allergy or preference?" And like, it's the only, but all the coffee shops do it. So it's obviously a big thing.
They're very
that's great.
It.
That's really great.
Good.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, that's
we're
really
looking
cool.
out for it next time we're there.
Yeah. And how can, if anyone watching, say, wants to get this into their school or into their business, how do they even do that?
So normally, a school or a business purchases the kits for the site. We have had some, parents, PTAs, fundraising initiatives where the kits are purchased. They're, the yearly subscription fee for the organisation. And I guess the best way to do it is just inquire through our website. So that's kittmedical.com, Kitt with 2 T's.
Okay.
And, if we can set up a meeting with the head teacher or the bursar at the school, the nurse first aider, talk to them about it, see what they're currently doing for allergies. Again, we're trying to avoid the conversation where they just say, "Oh, our kids have pens," because anyone can develop an allergy. We're talking about the staff as well, but look into our socials, Kitt Medical as well, and just share as much as you can with your school, really, to get them excited and interested.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We're like so grateful for everything you're doing. Like it's amazing. Like for the allergy community, and I know for my followers, there's just so many out there, isn't there? There's so many mums that their children, have different allergies as well.
One of you get messaged most about, to be fair.
I feel like the allergy community is really strong. Like we're all like, I just get it. I understand like how hard it can be.
Yeah.
So thank you for everything you're doing. It's incredible.
No, thank you.
And
I mean, the spotlight of the allergy mum and the ability to hopefully share some helpful information here and know that there are a lot of people listening that have children with allergies that they want to help, I guess feel more included and less isolated and safer. Anything we can do for that, and looking up Kitt and what we're doing, trying to get these into your school. Any of these initiatives, like whether it's just training, whether it's pens, whether it's just asking the question, we're hoping to better that conversation so people feel safer.
Amazing. Right. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Right, and don't forget to like, comment, and all the good stuff on this podcast. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in our next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.